How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Freedom Hour here, streaming through Spreaker Studio, the A2 Jack YouTube channel. We are back here with Michael Kekkonen and Ricardo Navarrete. We were just talking about Christmas and then a little bit about paranormal stuff, and now I actually want to delve into, since it is the second of the new year, there are some new laws that have passed when it comes to California that affect young people like us. One of those has to do with internet privacy, so basically I'll go... All right, so Michael's telling me to hold up. What's up?
I got a quick question.
Go ahead.
I don't know if this is weird or not, but is it weird if I'm not wearing pants?
I don't care. I don't know if you need to say that, but I don't think it matters. No.
What about underwear?
All right. So, anyways, Michael has been muted for the next few seconds. We are going to go ahead and talk about this privacy law. Ironically, that actually is a good segue from what he just said. So, speaking about the privacy law, what California's new privacy law means for you. So, basically, the arrival of the California Consumer Privacy Act takes effect the start of the new year. It will force companies to disclose what data is collected and who it is being sold to, while providing consumers the ability to opt out of having their data sold to third-party data brokers and dubious middlemen. What will basically change is that corporations now cannot tap dance around what is being collected and who it is sold to. Companies will need to advertise a "do not sell my personal information" opt-out option on their websites and in physical stores to make it easy for users to stop the sale of location or other data with a few clicks. Companies must also provide access to any data that has been collected within 45 days upon a user request. So essentially, the whole thing with, for example, where I work at Top Golf sometimes, what we do is when we create new memberships, we'll, put in their phone number and email. Now, I don't know if we sell that information or not, and I don't know how that will affect us if we do, but if we did sell that information, it would basically force them to say, are you going to sell that information? And we would all have to know to let them know by law. So that's essentially the changes it will make. And if they do not want that information sold, then they have the ability to say, do not take that information from me. That is going to have a big impact when it comes to what advertisements they may see and everything. I just want to ask you guys, what overall is your guys' thought on that, and what impact do you think that will have on young people's lives when it comes to the market when they're trying to advertise for products and try to buy products and stuff like that? Hola.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just because I never know if I should open my mouth or not first, or if I should go first. But
well, I think that Michael should go first every single subject today. So
I know, dude. That's what I've noticed. I feel like I should have just picked up on that at this point, huh?
No, you're good.
It's on me. No, but honestly, dude, I don't know. I've never really cared much about advertising, and I get it. I think recently there was some issue on YouTube too. Have you heard of COPPA or no?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's some issue that YouTube's dealing with too, and they got sued with all these cookie websites and targeted ads and stuff like that. I feel like that might tie into what you're talking about too. Mm-hmm. People saying instead knowing what information they're selling to who. I don't really know how this is gonna affect anything. I don't know if it's gonna be a big deal or not. Honestly, I'm not too informed on the subject end, so I can't really tell you too much about what I think about it. Me personally, I don't think it's going to change much. I don't think it's going to affect me in any way, or the younger audience. I don't know. I kind of have to wait for 2020 to play out with these new laws going into place and seeing if anything happens.
One other thing I'll say on this before I get your thoughts on it, Michael, is the California Consumer Protection Act, Privacy Act, only applies to companies that earn more than $25 million in gross annual revenue, collect personal data on more than 50,000 users, or make more than 50% of their revenue selling user data. So if there are smaller companies that don't earn or do not make as much money and do not have as many people that are necessarily going to their store or whatever, maybe more smaller businesses and stuff, then this law does not affect them. It mainly affects more corporations and stuff like that.
Oh, so it's the bigger companies, all the Roseville big stores and all that stuff.
Yeah, or online corporations and stuff like that as well. So I'll go ahead and Michael, I'll go ahead and get your thoughts on this. And what are your thoughts on this new law?
Well, I think I need to be more informed about it before I have any opinions.
That's insane. I feel like I'm kind of with Michael. I'm just I don't know. Right now, it's not a big deal to me. So I don't know.
This is my first time hearing it. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. same
Yeah,
here.
there's a lot of new stuff going into place. I just thought that this one affects a little bit more of like young people and stuff like that. As a lot of people are consumers, but obviously with the internet world, being so big nowadays, arguably more than ever, and that being centered more around younger people, it's just something that definitely will be affecting them a bit more than people who may be, say, over 35. But that was just something interesting that I thought about. Now, something that, regardless of opinion on this or whatever, regardless of how much you've seen on this, I think everybody's going to have opinions on this because this affects everybody from ages 1 to 92 to older, whatever the case may be, and that is California's new household water rationing law that also is going into effect just now. So, this is from California Globe. The real story behind California's 55 gallons of water per day per person. California voters have approved more than $30 billion in water bonds, which have provided no new water storage and water rationing on the horizon. Essentially, this new law that has been passed is that 55 gallons per day is going to be the limitation per person in each household for water use. So say you have a 4-person household, that's 220 gallons for the entire house. However, what it does say is the average shower, which is a 5 to 10 minute shower, takes up 17 gallons, and the average load of laundry, if you were to do like a washing your clothes or whatever the case may be, the average laundry load can take up to 20 gallons. So right there, you're almost at 2/3 of your daily use with a 55 gallon.
wait.
Go ahead.
How's this calculated? Is it calculated per day?
Yeah, per person per day.
Or is it like per month?
No, it's per person per day. Let me go on with this a little bit more so I can explain a little bit more about it. This will eventually decrease to 52.5 gallons in 2025 and 50 gallons per person per day by 2030. The first standard will be adopted no later than June 2022 in relation to the 52.5 gallons. What this also will do is if you end up going over the limit, you could possibly be fined up to $1,000 for each offense that when it comes to city or governmental officials when it comes to how this is calculated per household per day. So essentially, they're going to be watching you and everything you do when it comes to your water usage in the house. And if you go over that 55 gallon per day limitation, depending on how grossly over you may be, you could end up being fined for this being occurring. So I'll go ahead and start off with your guys' just initial opinions after hearing that news. What is your thought on this? And obviously with, there's been water shortages in California when it comes to droughts and all that kind of stuff. But overall on this law in general, what is your guys' initial thoughts after hearing it?
Now, here's my deal: is that if it's per day, then say you have a laundry day, like a stay-at-home clean day. You're gonna use a hell of a lot more water on that day than the rest of the week. So if it's like per day, then that day, even if you're like under 20 gallons for every day on the rest of the week, and you go over that, what was it,
55 gallons,
55 gallons per person. So if you use 55 per person on that day because you're doing all that cleaning, I feel like it's more of an issue for like the 1 or 2 person households,
Right. Yeah. No. They mentioned that too in here. They say, where is it at in this article right here? They mentioned somewhere in here that it's going to have a bigger effect on people who may have 1 or 2 person households, like that you just mentioned. And the whole thing about this too that you just mentioned too, that's not the only thing, especially if you're trying to like water your yard or your lawn or your whatever the case may be, washing the car, exactly, all that kind of stuff. If everybody was trying to do that on one day, like you mentioned, that could have a big impact. I'm going to figure out where in here it mentions the 1 person per day thing, but I'll go ahead and Ricky, get your thoughts on this. What is your thought on this new law?
I get they're trying to reduce how much water we use and stuff, and we did it in the past where we had to only water our lawns from this time to this time and whatnot, and I thought it was stupid, and I get what they were going for, but I don't think don't think there needs to be a restriction. When did you say that it was going to be like 50 gallons per thing? Is it every 2 years that it reduces, or is it every
It's
year?
going to go down to 52.5 gallons. They say by 2025, but it could be adopted by 2022 in June. But it's going to go down to 52.5, and then it's going to be down to 50 gallons by 2030. So they're going to try to decrease it over the next 10 years.
You know, like, I don't know. I feel like this is one of those things where like people just get like super riled up, and there's a bunch of backlash for it. But then like, because a lot of people don't like change. But then like 4 months later, watch 4 months from now, we'll have another podcast, and we'll just be like, oh yeah, whatever. It's just whatever. Like we're all used to it now, kind of thing. It's not like we all use up that much gallons. But 17 gallons per shower, and no, 17 gallons per laundry and 12 gallons per shower. What was that, like 29 gallons, and then the rest you get to
17 gallons for an average 5 to 10 minute shower, so essentially a 7.5 minute shower. And then
dude, let's be honest, we all take like 15-minute showers.
Right, exactly, and then it could be up to 20 gallons to do laundry, depending on how big the load may be.
Yeah, here's my thing is that I don't know how much like I use per gallon.
But see, that's my thing is nobody tracks how much water they're using per day. So my thing is, if you don't know how many gallons is what, then you're completely unaware, and you can get fined for doing something that you're unaware of doing. You can basically be fined for a crime that you were not aware that you were committing. That, to me, is so wrong because people aren't going to... I mean, I get that the whole point is to try to make you more aware of how much water you're using, but there's no way for you to figure out how to calculate that, and it's just... To me, it's an excuse for them to get more of people's money because there's so much stuff that is underfunded in California that they rely on the people to do it, but the people don't want to allow them to do it because there's so much stuff that's already being paid for. So I found the part of the article, by the way, Michael. It says a single person living alone would not be able to take a shower and do a load of laundry without going over the limit and being fined $1,000 for each offense. Now, this is assuming also, let's say, a person on average, like we did today, we go work out. Obviously, a person will usually shower in the morning, and then if they work out, they might shower before they go to bed. So there's a lot of people that take 2 showers as well. So that has a big impact, once again, because if you're taking 2 showers, one in the morning before you go to work or whatever the case may be, and one after you work out because you want to be in shape or whatever the case may be, that right there can be 30 to 35 gallons of water, if not more. And so that to me is just, I don't know how they're trying to figure that out, but there's something that's seriously wrong here with what they're doing.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about it because I live in a house with 4 people, 5 including me. So
just do wait though, dude. When you move out with Casey, or I'll bet it's gonna be rough.
Well, if I do my like tiny house thing, I don't know if that will apply to me.
Well, I mean, you still gotta take the same amount of time to take a shower, so like you might not have to like mop the whole floor and use a bunch of water, but shower's gonna change it.
It depends on a lot of things, like the property I go on. If it's by myself,
if you go on well water, bro, you're good. So if you move out to the country, I'm pretty sure there's like an exemption to that, right, Aaron?
Well, it's funny you mention that because I was actually talking about this with Wes last night, and he actually lives in the country, so he lives on a well. So if you're on a well, then it won't affect you because you're out in the country, like you mentioned.
Hey, dude, I'm about to go move either out of California or I'm about to go move to the countryside.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people actually around this area, and at least in California, that have a good amount of property, and it's not legal what I can do, but I can basically just tap into their stuff and do that like that. But no one checks it from what I see on the interwebs, so I'm not worried about that. Just as long as no one on this podcast tells anybody, I'm good.
I think you're good. The show is called The Freedom Hour for a reason, so you're fine.
All right.
I'm about to go in and move in behind Chowder's house, dude, and just use up like part of his big old acreage and just build a tiny house there.
I've actually never been to his house.
You never been to Chowder's house?
No.
Oh, dude, my dude's got a lot of land to just go ATV riding. Well, to be fair, it's not like it's really his house. It's more of his parents' house, so he can't just invite a bunch of delinquents over and just mess up his dad's property.
Delinquents? You calling me a delinquent?
I am calling you and Aaron a delinquent and myself, I
Well,
guess.
screw you. But one last thing I'll say before we get on to the next part
Well,
is this.
screw you.
Real quick, well,
I know.
I've got 20 seconds left. Suppliers have to use water use caps for indoor and outdoor watering by the end of 2022. The new water budgets will be fully enforced with penalties beginning November 2023. So I don't know if that means there's going to be big fines that will be occurring right away or if it will be delayed. Regardless, we'll be right back to the Liberty Hour right after this, or to the Freedom Hour right after this. Stay tuned.